Welcome to a new video. This week is the Barcelona shakedown week, so that is a non-public test for the cars. Not all the cars are driving on every day, but the cool thing is that we get pictures of how these cars left the pit lane. So let's take a closer look at this. First of all, the Red Bull. And like every year, Red Bull fooled everybody. They only presented the show car at the official presentation. They then paid a 3D artist, an external person, to create some renderings, and in the end we realized that it had nothing to do with the real car because the real car is very different. So what can we see on the Red Bull? We can see a much wider nose, and interesting here is that we see a little linkage from the nose to the upper flap element, so it looks like the actuator for the front wing is inside the nose, which is good because the actuator is actually creating quite a lot of wake, which we could see in my CFD videos. We can also see that Red Bull uses a large flat first element, so the leading edge is not really raised like on other cars, and the chord length is also increasing towards the end of it. And we see some quite small front wing mounting points here. We can then see their traditional torpedo-like pitot tube, which can measure the airflow and the direction of the airflow. We can see some interesting brake ducts, so the very narrow design, which we could see on other cars as well. And we see a pushrod suspension and the indicators, which are new this year. Then we can see the side impact structures sticking out here at the side in an arrow shape. So that's pretty similar to the Mercedes W13 from 2022. And it also makes you realize how narrow these side pods actually are. So we were talking about that for the teams, it's going to be very important to keep the front wheel wake outboard for as long as possible. So you would go for wide side pods. So why does Red Bull now do the opposite? It was exactly the same in 2022 when we suggested that the wider side pods would be the way to go, which then every team updated to. But Mercedes chose the opposite way and had a lot of problems with that. So what does that mean for Red Bull now? It could mean that they can very confidently keep the front wheel wake outboard and away from the rear wing and from the diffuser and all other important downforce producing parts at the back. And only if you're able to do that, you can allow yourself to have as narrow side pods as this, and then you can get more clean air towards the back and produce more downforce, which would be a great thing. But let's see if they can really do that. I mean, Red Bull is very strong in terms of aero development, so let's see how this one will work out. If we then look at the airbox, we can see that it's a pretty big and round design, and which reminds us pretty much of the 2019 Toro Rosso, so which also had a big round air inlet with roughly the diameter of the TV camera above that. And we can see the same here. So roughly the diameter of the TV camera. We can see that the inner part is a lot bigger, which is usually for the engine air, but doesn't have to be. It could also be that the outside parts are for engine air and then are collected afterwards. We can also see here that between the driver's headrest and this upper air scoop, there's a black area, which could be an additional air inlet, which would also explain why the Red Bull has such relatively small air inlets compared to the VCarb with the same engine. Interesting here is also the floorboard, so no vertical element, big slot gaps between the elements, so very, very porous, lets a lot of air through. And we can also see an additional stay for the floor here to stabilize it. We can see the big cutout in the diffuser here as well, and the big deflector to keep the rear wheel vortices away from the diffuser. Interesting here is also the actuator for the rear wing, which we can see quite nicely here. And we have an additional element which connects to the third element, which is usually for the rotational axis, so to stabilize the whole assembly. So which makes you see where the rotational axis is. So this one is relatively close to the trailing edge. Also, we can see a little dip here. So because the airflow is a little bit weakened because of all the elements on the pressure side, which then move to the lower side because of a slot gap. So the flow cannot really stay attached all the way up to the trailing edge. That's why the trailing edge is a little bit earlier here. So we have a little bit less chord length. All in all, we can say that the Red Bull has by far the tightest bodywork, which is quite a challenge because they are using their own engine for the very first time and they don't have much experience with that yet. So let's see how that will work out, and also how this narrow side pod concept will work out with these regulations, where it's quite hard to keep the front wheel wake outboard. In comparison to that, we saw the Mercedes again. So again, connecting to the second element of the front wing with relatively small mountings. The first element is pretty much clear. It seems like they only move the third element, and quite interesting to see here is they're using cotton threads to analyze their aerodynamics. So even though we are in this complex age of high technology, teams are still using cotton threads, so very basic methods to analyze the aerodynamics and probably to see if the flow is still attached when the flap is down, which is also something that I always recommend. People should just use the simple methods instead of always doing a CFD about stuff. Just analyze the flow in real conditions, just with cotton threads, have a camera or take some pictures or something, look at it, and then you see what's going on. So very nice to see that even in Formula One, they still use cotton threads. Interesting is the pitot tube here. So we have the standard pitot tube, which is measuring the airspeed at the top. We have the little bit thicker ones, which is there for measuring the direction of the air. So you can measure actually the pitch angle and also the yaw angle. So from which side the airflow is coming, because this one has multiple tiny little holes at the front. And we have an additional so-called keel probe at the top, which is basically a pitot tube, but with this cover around. So you can reliably measure the airspeed even with an angle from the side of 30 degrees usually. So just to make sure that they have the correct wind speed. So that's usually something we will only see at testing and just to get more experience with these very new cars. Interesting then again, this super open floorboard. We can see these wide side pods here and the huge undercut underneath, the cutout in the diffuser, and quite small air inlets. It looks like the center here for the engine air is smaller than on the Red Bull, but like I said, for the Red Bull, we don't know exactly if this is really for engine air or not. So overall, we can see quite small air inlets here as well. We can also see very tight bodywork, but not as tight as the Red Bull. And then we see the VCarb again. So what should we say about this? First of all, they have this massive inlet at the top, and we can actually see a split line running around here. So I guess they're planning on changing these upper air inlets at some point. Maybe this will already look different at the first race. And it looks like between the driver's headrest and the upper scoop, there's no additional inlet like they have possibly done for the Red Bull. So all the air you can't collect here, you have to additionally collect here. Maybe that's the reason why they have such a big scoop here. But in the end, it's not a good sign for their drivetrain. And it's also no wonder that these two new engine manufacturers, so Red Bull and Audi, have quite big air inlets. This is also what we expected, because all the other engine manufacturers have more than 10 years of experience with these V6 hybrid engines. These two have not. They can build good engines, but in terms of efficiency, they might be a little bit down compared to the others, which means bigger cooling inlets. The VCarb has very small side pod inlets, and we need to compensate that with the center. But again, the concept is similar to Red Bull here. They have relatively small side pods and want to keep them as slim as possible. It looks like they have a lot of center cooling, and the question is, can they really reliably keep the front wheel wake outboard? So we will see that in the first tests and maybe the first races. So let's see how they will perform. Interesting here is also the DRS pod again. We can see the actual actuator is connecting to the leading edge of the second element, and we can see this additional stay connecting to the middle of the third element, and that's our rotational axis, which means the rotational axis on this rear wing is a lot lower than on the Red Bull, which means that once the wing is open, the elements will sit a lot lower than on the Red Bull, which is just the thing how you set up your wing and how you engineer it, but will be quite interesting to watch that. We can see a floorboard with the vertical element and then 3 horizontal elements, like we've seen it in other cars as well. And quite interesting are these additional structures on the nose, so 2 aerofoil-shaped, probably camera housings to watch the front wing, because every team is curious about what their front wing is doing right now, because for the first time, the F1 front wing is active, so they want to make sure that everything goes to plan. Interesting is that the VCarb is really using two actuators, and it looks like just two rear wing actuators mounted at the front. And I see a couple of problems with this. First of all, the synchronization between the two. So you need to make sure that both are always doing exactly the same thing, and these actuators are quite fast and quite strong. So if they don't exactly move at the same time, you will bend the wing and you will destroy your own wing. So let's see how that will work out. And by having these actuator mountings outside in the airflow, you will create a huge wake, which is this is on the upper side of the front wing, but this wake will move to the lower side of the wing through the slot gaps, and you will lose downforce there on the other side. So it's not an ideal design, and there's a lot of room for failure. So let's see how this one will work out. And we can finally see the real Alpine. So first time with the Mercedes customer engine, and it looks very different to the Mercedes. First of all, at the front we see quite an elegant nose and quite a raised leading edge at the front wing, probably the most extreme design in that case. So I guess similar to the Mercedes, they are trying to collect as much airflow as possible here and then create a strong flow to the outside, so by bending the end plates outside, so to create outwash in front of the front wheels already. But on the other hand, we see the actuator for all the front wing elements underneath the nose, so that is pretty similar to the CFD model I analyzed in my previous videos. And we know that you get quite some wake from this, quite some separations, which hurt you down the line. So let's see how that will work out and if they stick to that design or if they will change that. If we look at the bodywork, it's quite a difference to the Mercedes, although they have the same power unit. We have quite big air inlets. Of course, they don't really have experience with the Mercedes powertrain and they want to be on the safe side, so they have bigger air inlets, and that can also change during the season. We can see very big side pods, so they have a lot of space for big radiators in here, which doesn't necessarily mean they have big radiators in here. You can see that actually the side pods are still relatively small, although they look so big, because the side impact structure is sticking out here, which is a not very aerodynamic feature here on this one, but you gain more by having slim side pods than you lose by this little disruption here. On the other hand, you have this water slide design again, so you have this big sidewall, as we said in my previous videos, to keep the front rear wake outboard for as long as possible, so to really make sure that it stays outboard and doesn't hit the rear wing or anything else important. And at the same time, you're dragging clean air down towards the important area. Also, we have a super big vortex generator here, which is there to keep the cockpit losses on the inboard side and to guide them along this path to the exit of the car. And we have quite a lot of downwash here at the back. The DRS pod here is really, really big, creating a lot of wake, and I'm quite surprised to see such a big design here. And on top of the airbox, we see these downwashing additional wings, which can help to position the shark fin tip vortex in corners a little bit lower so it doesn't hit the rear wing. Again, like we discussed in my previous videos, also Alpine used the big shark fin, probably the biggest possible shark fin, to keep the front wheel wake outboard, so that seems to be really their focus, so keeping the front wheel wake outboard for as long as possible in every situation. But the problem you get with this is that because of a big shark fin, you have a big tip vortex and you need to make sure that it doesn't hit your rear wing. So that's why we see this wing here as well, just like the Ferrari. And let's see how they stick with this concept or if they will make bigger changes to their bodywork. And then the first close-up shot of the Audi, of the real Audi. So what can we say about this? First of all, the nose seems really, really big. Quite a fat design, probably because the actuator for the front wing is also included here, so similar to the other designs we've seen. And you can see that actually the front wing mountings are really small. They're quite short for such a big element, and if you compare that to the Ferrari, for example, it's very different. The radius on the leading edge of the end plate is extremely big to avoid any separations here. Also, this upper vane you can see on the other side here is super big. So they use a super big horizontal vane to guide the air around the front wheels. Also here, a quite big testing pitot tube to make sure that they catch the correct airspeed. Also in terms of air inlets, we can see, like we said before, they're a little bit bigger than on other cars. So which is pretty much what we expected because Audi is a new manufacturer. They don't have as much experience as others. They have great facilities, they hired great people, but they don't really have the experience of the other manufacturers yet. And it's pretty logical that they will also be careful with cooling in their first year. On the other hand, we can see that the side pod is sitting a little bit lower than the chassis shoulder, so it's quite a step in here. We can see a similar water slide design to the Alpine, so a really big fat sidewall to keep the front rear wake outboard for as long as possible, and then with some water slides in the middle to get some clean air towards the important areas. In the end, it's not a very elegant design yet. I can't really see a real advantage on the drivetrain side, and I can't really see a real advantage on the chassis side. So let's see how they will perform. And the first time I saw this picture, I asked myself, what is that? Is that the new Mercedes or is that the McLaren still in different livery? No, it's the new Cadillac. And that's really impressive because the car looks really good. We could already see it from far away, and we could already guess that the cooling inlets are relatively small, which we can confirm now again. But the car looks really interesting. So quite an elegant nose, elegant front wing, standard concepts we've seen on other cars, so connecting to the first element. And also note here, they are also using cotton threads on the front wing mountings to see if they align these mountings properly in every driving situation. And we can see a standard pitot tube here for the testing. We can see a very simple floorboard, but that doesn't really matter because the floorboard is not important for now for the shakedown, and this can be changed very quickly. Important is more the overall concept, and the bodywork doesn't look as big as it seemed before, so it looks relatively narrow. They have a strong downwashing concept, probably the most extreme downwashing concept until now. So they will try to drag as much clean air as possible down to the important area while keeping the front rear wake outboard for as long as possible. So similar concept to all the others, or similar idea, but a different way of achieving this. Also here we can see this cutout at the back, so we can see the ground if we look through here. And we see a much smaller DRS pod than on the Alpine, for example. We see a very big shark fin. Again, I guess every team will use that big shark fin this year, but here we don't see any additional wings to position the shark fin tip vortex lower, so we will see some developments in that area, I'm sure, during the year. And we can see a pushrod rear suspension, probably, if we see this correctly here. And that allows them to have more space for the diffuser and anything underneath here, because all the suspension components will be on top of the gearbox and not below. So it's quite a good sign for the new Ferrari powertrain to see such small cooling inlets even at their smallest or youngest customer team, which should be very careful with these kind of engines in their first year. But either they're very confident or they just didn't add any safety factor on the Ferrari numbers. So let's see how this will work out. But I think we shouldn't underestimate the Ferrari engine this year. Mercedes will be strong, I'm sure, but we shouldn't underestimate the Ferrari. So let's see how this will work out. So we're just missing the new Aston Martin and the new McLaren for now. McLaren showed us some renderings of the car, but to be honest, there is no reason for McLaren to show us the real car right now. And if we look at this, it seems like it's not really worth discussing it because we have such a simple floorboard here. We have a really weird looking front wing and super slim mounting points, a much too long nose, so it gives us flashback of 2014. So better don't talk about it and wait 2 days until we see the real car. So I hope you found that interesting, and if anything special happens, we will discuss it here. See you at the next one.